We're going to start with the nation. Emefiele meets Buhari as SGF clarifies quit order. AFC backs African economy with $2 billion facility. El-Rufai Kaduna delegates pledge support for Tinubu. Expect flooding. Nationwide agency alerts Nigerians. Tambuwal Sultan condemned lynching of female students. Retirement of justices depletes Supreme Court. Protesting students block highways. Okay, which story are we starting with? Major headline, SGF?
Yes. So yesterday, the CBN governor met with the president for, maybe amongst those who needed clarification about, the directive that, his appointees should resign. And when he came out, he then addressed the press and said that he was having fun. And speculations about his purported bid for the APC presidential ticket, he said there's no news now, but there will be news. You heard me. I said there is no news now, but there will be news. And then he said, let them have a heart attack. It is good to have a heart attack. I am having a lot of fun as regards his presidential bid. So maybe, sometimes the people we think are educated, they are just literate. So let me inform the CBN governor that your office cannot be partisan. Go back to the law that set up the CBN and see how you're conflicting with the interest of the office you hold. So before you're asking people that, you're supposed to serve, that whether they like it or not, pay them, that kind of petty thinking.
Yeah.
Let me inform you that, you're not being responsible and you're not showing that you qualify for that office that you are appointed for. That's for your own on one side. Yeah. The president who appointed him has the power to sack him with 2/3 majority of the National Assembly. Please, the people that have these powers, can you please do something to show us that we are serious-minded people in this country?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a level of disrespect, I guess, for journalists. This is an office that you hold. You are not talking as the guy on the street. You are talking as the CBN governor, and you should have just responded with respect. Anyway, I have the other story. So, the presidential aspirant for APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, was in Kaduna State visiting with the governor of Kaduna State. He also met with delegates from the state, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu just, talked about himself, explained how he has experience in the private sector, working in bringing democracy to our country, and so many other achievements that he's had. And El-Rufai, after he had spoken, that's after Ahmed Tinubu had spoken with the delegates and the governor says, well, I cannot give you my support without hearing from the delegates. And so he asked the delegates, do we support him? They all answered, yes. Is there anyone that doesn't support him? They said, no. And so he says all these delegates are the ones that would be there at the primaries.
Okay. All right, another story in Nation?
Yes, another story in the Nation. The Minister for Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, gave a warning at the official annual flood outlook for 2022. And his warning was that about 233 local governments across 32 states would have flooding. And the Flood Management and Food Security Summit was held in Abuja. The statement covers the breakdown of the states at risk. There are, including FCT, would experience moderate flooding. 35 states would experience moderate flooding, but 32 states are at major risk.
Moving on to... No, that was... I ticked it. I'm surprised. Where did you tick it?
Nima gave me the story.
Nima.
Did you not say that it was ticked? Moving on to the Punch.
Oh, my God.
2023 presidency. Jonathan submits APC forms today. Emefiele's resignation calls. Blasphemy, Sultan Kugat condemns students for lynching Sokoto female colleague. Inside the world of Nigeria's deadly money ritualists, where human parts are traded like commodities. As to VC's fear delayed admission process, student protests spread. Thugs attack Ondo, female aspirant supporters, several injured. Lagos land grabbers kill 4-year-old, father demands justice. Nigerians 15 million out-of-school children, population frightening, says Obasanjo. Despite the 129 billion naira intervention loans, agri imports hits 2.7 trillion. And Buhari signs the anti-money laundering counter-terrorism bill. Okay, starting with Mariam.
Sad and horrific story of the young lady that was lynched yesterday, Deborah Samuel. She was a 200-level student of the Shehu Shagari College of Education in Sokoto. And the story, you know, is viral. Everyone has seen it, but the story is that she had allegedly insulted the prophet, and that caused a mob to attack her. They pulled her away from security. They said the school security had her in their custody. They pulled her away, stoned her to death, and set her ablaze.
Oh my God.
And the building in which she was. The police command have said they have arrested 2 persons in connection to this gruesome crime, and that the video is also going to be put in evidence, and all those that we've seen in the videos will all be brought to book. The Sultan of Sokoto made a statement saying that, you know, just condemning the action. The Bishop of Sokoto as well, Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, Reverend Matthew Kuka, as well condemned the action and asked that the only way to give the parents some sort of, you know, peace is to make sure that all those who have done this are brought to book. He says they've lived in Sokoto as Christians and Muslims for very long, and for him, he does not think this is a religious matter.
All right, so it's a hot topic. We'll talk about it a bit later, but let's take a few more other stories. Yes.
So the picture story, the ASU, student protest and ASU VCs fearing delayed admission. So the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigeria is saying that this ongoing ASU strike would delay the admission process for 2022, process for admission for universities for the year 2022. And they are saying that in the past, that, you know, ASU strike since 2020, whatever, has continued to delay admissions like this. In 2020, they had to batch up the admission process, so 1 year and another year added. And, you know, they've been doing that, you know, to meet up with the admission process. They are just, you know, stating the obvious. We know what is happening, but we know that they are members of ASU themselves, or SANU, Seniors Academic Staff Associations, and so they should be in the core of this. One of them said, you know, they're also in the government's negotiation team, and so they're meeting. I'm hoping that they suggest and bring these issues to the fore. We have more students not admitted yet, or those who have passed, and we have those who are in the system not graduating because of this strike. I hope that the federal government will sit up.
Okay, so there was a story that caught my attention. It's quite lengthy, but I'll actually like to study it a bit later, and I think Nigerians should also take the story. It was a special report. I'm trying to see the reporter that did this, about the world of deadly money ritualists, where human parts are traded like commodities. And they actually followed the man called Ifatunde Ifayemi on Facebook, and they were able to get his contact details, and he allowed them to come interview him, and how he, as he was making money rituals for people. And it's an interesting article. It's quite lengthy, but it's good for parents to read this, to know what young people are up to. And I'd like to also digest it a bit later, and then we can make it a topic, because it's quite revealing of the various stages, the kind of rituals that are out there, what people are asked to bring, the various commodities they think they can actually get from this, and the sickening part. That this man is on Facebook and is actually getting people to come.
We've always asked for people like this to come out, so we even understand the mindset.
Right.
So it's good.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we move on to other papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right. Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to Vanguard. Ministers who failed to resign on their own presidency. Fix problems of insecurity, Sage tells federal government. Former Minister, Senator Iwuga loses second daughter in plane crash. Army naps 3 soldiers over sale of missing ammunition to bandits. Afenifere Ohaneze Pandep orders blast PDP over open presidential tickets. 2023, I'm having fun, says Emefiele. ASU strike protesting OAU UNN students shut down highways in Southeast. And why I want to be Nigeria's president in 2023, says Saraki. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Just the major headline for clarity. So the ministers the directive does not just stop at ministers, continues to heads of federal executive members, non-federal executive members, the heads of extra-ministerial departments, agencies, parastatals of government, ambassadors, other political office holders to contest, that have intentions of contesting in the presidential, for the presidency under the APC, those who have intentions for going to gubernatorial intentions, national and other state assembly elections, all of such people must resign. And if they have a directive to also tender those resignations on or before Monday, the 16th of May, for them to qualify, or they stand the ground of being disqualified by the party of the APC.
And the SGF has said that they're on their own if they don't resign, pretty
Yes,
much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yes, I had the story, although I mentioned it in my banter. An aircraft belonging to Caverton Aviation, Cameroon, is a subsidiary of the Caverton Offshore Support Group here in Lagos. It was a helicopter, it was a plane, it had a pilot and 11 passengers. Most of them were Nigerians, and the pilot was the daughter of the former Minister for State for the FCT, and also one-time Deputy Governor of Zamfara State. And sadly, that plane crashed yesterday in Cameroon. The body that's the Accident Investigation Bureau, the Nigerian in Nigeria says, well, they can't give us any much information because even though there were mostly Nigerians on the plane, the crash happened in Cameroon. And so our hearts go out to them. The pilot, her name was Azwai Ewuga. I knew her personally. And once again, our hearts go out to the family.
I want to take the oil story. So the Nigeria's oil output has dropped by 13.3%. We actually have capacity to produce more. The world needs more oil. That would have been a benefit for Nigeria based on the Russia-Ukraine crisis. OPEC has pegged what we released in April as 1.3 million barrels per day in April 2022. The statement was, we have capacity to do more, but we are not meeting the target because of the activities of those stealing our oil. You know, so the oil and gas industry should be producing more for us. They said there's another product called condensate. And the condensate is, we have capacity to produce between 300,000 to 400,000 barrels, but it is not clear if we are actually producing that much. Statement said that NNPC does not release our products, the details of what we produce in that particular product. The one we know is even because OPEC releases it, and we lose so much of our oil produce to theft. Oil theft has increased over the past few months, and I know that was one of the things that the last administration really dealt with, because we used to have this problem too. The economy, well, and we're busy buying 100 million naira from. Like, I don't even understand.
Where are
all our ministers? They want to become president.
Minister for State to want to become president.
I knew there'll be a backlash from Ohanes Ndigbo. So, PDP, remember, I took the story that they've thrown open the presidential tickets, obviously. Quite a few people from the Middle Belt. So I have, I'm trying to get the names right. So we have Tanko Yakasai from the Middle Belt Forum. We have Ohanes Ndigbo, their spokesperson, and also Kasim Afegbua. Also, they all fled the opposition party for deciding to throw open and saying that it is very, that history is replete with those who actually betray, saying that it is wrong for a northerner to hand over to another northerner. It's also one that Igbos run, those Igbos who are running after presidential aspirants from other geopolitical zones should remember that history is replete with how a betrayer ends. PDP has a choice to nominate a northerner and fail woefully, or bring it, and be buried, or northern a southerner, zone probably to the southeast, and then have the people's sympathy. I mean, many other groups also fled the PDP for this decision. Also, the former secretary to the government of Federation, Ayi Payosami, pledged to accept the party's position on his own end. He's like, whatever the party decides, that's what he's going with. So, well, as I said, the fireworks are out there. We know that lots of people are going to reject. We're waiting for the APC. We don't know where they're going yet. We're hoping that before the end of this month, we now know where all the parties are leaning towards. Okay, another story in Sun. Nobody took Saraki. I thought you took Saraki.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know we're already in Sun. We just
We just started Sun.
Oh, I do apologize. Daily Sun, 2023. FG insists Malami Ngige Emefiele Amechi must resign. I'm the bridge. I can do it, Saraki tells Nigerians. NSA seeks collaboration in coalition moves against ISIS. 233 local governments in 32 states to experience severe flood in FG warns. Supreme Court Justice Mary Odili bows out. Presidency Kalu replies Clark insists South-South with many aspirants betrayed South-East. PDP under fire for dumping zoning. And again, Buhari appeals to ASU to call off strike. Okay.
So, former Senate President Bukola Saraki has declared again, and he was speaking to the media. He said he had a breakfast meeting in Abuja. He said 2023 is a watershed in the country's political history. And he said as long as there are 65 million of our citizens still living in slum conditions in urban city centers, then the job is not done. And he said as long as the tech hub for Nigeria is not the tech hub for Africa, the job is not done. He says as long as the huge army of talented youth do not think Nigerian government can support their dreams, whether in entertainment fashion, then the job is not done. As long as our university lecturers still have reasons to embark on strikes, the job is not done. As long as some of the best, brightest brain still relocate to other countries, the job is not done. So essentially, he wants to say that his aspiration to be the president of the country is informed by the fact that God has given him the opportunity to offer himself, and he's submitting that he would be the bridge.
Okay.
Okay.
INEC,
yes. So INEC is saying that they are looking to work with EFCC as regards campaign finance by political parties. They said that there are some things that it cannot do because the Electoral Act already provides for it. It says INEC cannot arbitrarily apply caps on expenditure, but some are covered by provisions in the Electoral Act. For instance, the cost of nomination forms is provided by the law, but in some cases, like the contributions by any major politicians in their party. They said they're also they're also talking to EFCC as regards campaign finance, and vote buying is also a big problem that they're dealing with. As regards ASU being involved in the electioneering process, they say journalists were asking that because they're on strike. He says that has never actually stopped the lecturers that want to be part of the process. That he made an example of 2018. He says they were on strike then, but those who wanted, who were willing, were still part of the process. And then concerning CBN and the fact that INEC materials are deposited there for storage and also for distribution, he said that they're still looking into it. They can't say much because the case is in court and they've been asked to come and give their own side of the story. So until now, they said, so far CBN had never given them any reason to doubt its capacity to handle that job, but it's on the table and they're looking into it, given Emefiele's ambition.
Okay, any other story in... We're taking Tribune?
No.
Oh, what's wrong with me today? Okay, moving on with Nigerian Tribune. Alleged blasphemy, outrage over killing of female students in Sokoto, police arrest 2, governor meets Khan. FG licenses 12 new private universities. I don't know where other roads are running to, but me, I'm running to the villa, says Asiwaju Bola and Tinubu. Keep a date with Destiny on May 29th, Bello. That's a DG for Yahaya Bello says. My ambition is to fill gaps left behind by Fayemi. I'm having fun. Let Nigerians have heart attack. Pilot daughter, we talked about that already. Ngige hopeful of fruitful end to strike as ASU, SANU, NASU, not all meet FG today. And SGF writes ambassadors, heads of parastatals, others with political ambition to vacate seats.
So the federal government of Nigeria licensed 12 new private universities. And according to the Minister for Education, Adamu, he says that this brings the private universities from 111 to 215. Am I mistaken? Mm-hmm. Yes, and he says that this was approved by FEC. It's become very, very important now, and the expedient now to to approve more universities and bring the total of universities that we have in Nigeria to 215, and the private universities to 111. And he thinks that this is the way to go. My fear is that, you know, this was how public primary schools started, you know, to get, private schools started to get licensing. And little by little, we ignored the primary basic education till the alternative that the private schools were became the norm. I hope that, you know, we're not just looking to totally destroy the entire public university system and the alternative of private universities become the norm also.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so 3 soldiers have been arrested by military for selling arms and ammunition to bandits and terrorists in Zamfara State. These army officials are Private Bala Nura and Lance Corporal Ehoda Monday and Lance Corporal Shehu Mohammed. Those two were collaborating with Nura. They said that they had sold so far 420. Okay, first there was a missing case of 425 rounds of ammunition. So investigation led them to these, you know, soldiers. And he said that he had sold 100 rounds of 7.62 mm, I don't know if I'm calling it right, special ammunition at the rate of 100,000 naira only, sold our destiny. And he also confessed that he had promised of 1,000 rounds of the same ammunition to these bandits and terrorists at the rate of 1 million naira only with these 2 collaborators. The military says they're still investigating to see if there are more,
They should
you know,
not go far. There are
people.
more, because the battle is not the finish. I think we should.
That's all we can take on Front Page Review.
You have to be more serious.
As I said, this morning is one of those mornings that there's just so many negative stories. But first, before we go into the heart of the matter, we'll bring in our guest from the National Lottery Regulatory Body. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.